Just want to bring you a different breaking story. Sky News understands the International Olympic Committee is moving towards a blanket ban on transgender women from women's sport. Let's bring in our sports correspondent, Rob Harris. Rob, there have been many people who've been campaigning for this for quite a while. Explain to us what it means.
This is a notable shift in position from the International Olympic Committee. Previously, they'd left it to individual sports to decide whether or not transgender women could compete in women's sport. But now Sky News understands that the International Olympic Committee is moving towards a blanket ban on transgender women competing in women's events. We also understand that there's been discussions about reintroducing sex testing, something that existed from the 60s until the late 90s. Now, the IOC is taking this decision or moving towards it because so many other sports are. Athletics, swimming, cycling amongst those who have decided to ban transgender women from women's events. Now, this is because of concerns about competitive advantages. I understand that last week IOC members were briefed by the medical chief of the IOC, Dr. Jane Thornton, that there are advantages in sporting terms from having those physical advantages having gone through male puberty, and that's created concerns about the women's sport category. There is a new IOC president, Kirsty Coventry, who told me just after her election in March she was looking towards about protecting the women's sport category, and now it looks like we could get a decision ahead of the LA Olympics in 2028. It does follow pressure from the US President Donald Trump, who spoke about this on the campaign trail, then after getting into office signed an executive order banning transgender women from women's sport in the United States. He vowed to end the war on women's sport, as he put it. He said he would deny visas to athletes trying to compete at the LA Olympics in women's categories if they had gone through male puberty. Now, I also understand that there could also be a ban on athletes with differences of sex development also being prohibited from women's events. Now, if we think back to the Paris Olympics in 2024, there were no transgender women that we know of competing, but there was a very high-profile case in boxing. Amar Khalif, the Algerian, won gold in women's boxing. It was said she'd failed sex test in the past at a contested world boxing event. She insisted she was born a woman and lived as a woman, but certainly her case brought this issue into the spotlight. New rules in world boxing meant she would not go through the sex testing that were required, so she hasn't taken part in recent events. So she is someone who could potentially be excluded from the Olympics going forward under all these policies. But a decision would have to be taken by the International Olympic Committee's main session. That won't be in time for the Winter Olympics in Italy in February, but also, IOC members are set to be discussing this more going down the line. I have just had a comment from the International Olympic Committee that they do say that an update was given by the IOC medical director to IOC members last week at the commission meetings. The working group is continuing its discussions on this topic and no decisions have been taken yet. So there is still a working group looking at this issue, but as things stand now, Sky News understands the International Olympic Committee is moving towards introducing a blanket ban on transgender women competing in women's sporting events.